Hey guys, Nick from Major Woodcraft. Haven't posted in a while. Making some progress on a horizontal fence, but today's video is actually really not a tutorial. It's kind of want to share some more thoughts with you. Today's July 4th. It's actually my 9-year anniversary. I've been installing a fence for 13 years or so, and then been around the trades for another 5 years before that. But I started my own business on July 4th, 9 years ago. Well, I filed the paperwork, and then it was approved after the weekend and the next 6 holidays or whatever. But yeah, I always celebrate the foundation of my business on July 4th. So what I want to talk to you about today is just kind of the nature of the trades right now. Took me a while to kind of collect my thoughts, so if I ramble, please forgive me. COVID years were actually some of my most profitable years in business. And I think a lot of that had to do with people being stuck at home, collecting a paycheck, and either working from home or being unemployed, but still collecting a paycheck, right? Plus a government stimulus check or whatever, which I never got. I think that's funny. Most trades guys that I know didn't get one either, but a lot of people did, and they chose to spend the money on, house projects. So COVID years were actually pretty good for the trades, and I have a few trades buddies that would agree with me on that statement. But at the time, we all talked about it, and we were like, "There's no such thing as free lunch, right? The tax man cometh, and eventually someone has got to pay for all this free stuff." And it's interesting to me that 3-4 years later, the people paying for the free stuff is the guys that made money during those years. It's the tradesmen, and we're all getting hit. Everyone is getting hit with taxes hard, but tradesmen are getting just absolutely reamed. So I think that's interesting to me. So fast forward a few years, and business is hard lately. Business is very hard for me lately. I don't know about other trades guys, but for me, it's brutal right now. I've lost so many bids this year, I couldn't even count them, and that's kind of the nature of the beast that comes with the trade, right? But some of the ones I've been losing this year are honestly insulting. Here's a good example. I lost, this is like a $30,000 deck project, and I lost it by $2,000. Customer said they wanted to go with me, but this other guy came in $2,000 cheaper. Could I match the price? And I was like, man, on a deck project, there really isn't a whole lot of margin. Most of the cost on a deck project is just the material cost. So I was like, I can't come down. Like that $2,000 is my paycheck. It's not. I'm not padding material cost or rounding up anything. Like, that's lean and mean. That's what I need to make a living. So I lost the project, and then a few weeks later, they called me and asked me to come look at the project that was completed by the contractor that they chose to hire, right? Which is kind of insulting in the first place, but whatever. There's a possibility for me to make a little bit of money off of a repair at least, and then also just take care of the customer, So whatever. Let's go take a look. What ended up happening? These people scheduled the job for as soon as they could get on this guy's schedule. We'll call it May 1st or whatever. I don't remember the week. But we'll call it May 1st. And he's like, fine, that's great, that'll work for us. Customer is on vacation during that week. So the whole project was started and completed while the customer was out of town. When they got back, they realized that there were some non-code compliant things with the deck. So they called me just to get a second opinion. Hey, is this something that we need to worry about? I took one look at it and I was like, well, it's definitely not code compliant. It's not necessarily poorly built, but it's definitely not code compliant. The main issue was that they did not set their deck posts on caissons. They just buried them in the ground, which is a huge no-no with decks. There's a compressive failure that can happen, and then some post-rot on top of that is just going to accelerate the problem. That's a huge no-no. So they were like, can you fix it for $2,000, right? That's the difference in my bid to this other guy's bid. And I was like, no, absolutely not, because this is a ground level deck and the posts are, buried underneath structure and decking and railing at this point. So to even get to the posts, to dig them up and then pour a caisson underneath them is, a solid week worth of work. Brace the whole deck up while the concrete cures. It's just not. So I was like, man, it'd probably cost you $3,000-4,000 at this point. And from their perspective, it's like the difference between my quote and this other guy's quote was $2,000, and that's the only thing he did wrong, right? So I should be able to fix the mistake for $2,000. Not how that works. Not how that works. That's like going to a car dealership and, two different car dealerships. You want to buy a Honda Civic, okay? This place has them listed for $20,000, okay? And then the next dealership over has them listed for $10,000. So what's the catch, right? And they both say, nope, brand new. It's Honda Civic, ready to go. Okay, well, obviously I'm going to go with the $10,000 option, right? And then when you show up to the dealership to pick it up, it comes in a box and it's a build-it-yourself kit. There's your 10 grand, It's ridiculous to think about, but it happens all the time in the trades. So, rewind a little bit. When I was talking to these people, I said, let's make sure we're comparing apples to apples. Are they using the same material? We're using the same railing, same design, like same picture frame setup, whatever. Yep, it's all the same. They're just $2,000 cheaper. Come to find out, it wasn't apples to apples. Both of us included the cost of the permit on our bid, which is about $1,100 for the permit. But the way permits work around here is that it actually reduces your sales tax on the material side, so that it's an upfront cost, but it actually saves tax on the material at the end. And the way that I do that is just charge the customer the entire permit cost up front, and then deduct or refund, however you want to do it with your books, but deduct the cost of sales tax that you save, and I just deduct that at the end of the project. And I always write that in my contract, like I'm not going to make money or lose money on a permit. It's just the easiest way to handle the money side of it, because you do have to pay for that permit up front, and then throughout the course of the project you end up saving money on taxes that you would have otherwise paid. So apples to apples, right? We're both pulling a permit. Turns out this guy did not pull a permit, which is pretty obvious considering the fact that he just buried his posts instead of setting them on caissons. So he saved $1,100. He was $2,000 cheaper than me. He saved $1,100 on the permit itself, and then presumably another $900 on the labor and material to pour the caissons to code. It's just insulting to me. So I'm looking at this project, and they're like, "Can you fix it for $2,000?" No, I can't, because I got to disassemble your whole deck just to even get to those posts, and then put it all back together, right? And that still doesn't even pay for a permit at that point. That's just the labor to undo another guy's week's worth of work, fix his mistake that he made on day one, and then reinstall his entire project. It's all hidden fasteners, so it's not like I can pull up 2 courses of decking and get below the structure. It's all hidden fasteners, it's all interlocked, so I've got to pull up 6 or 7, hope I can doctor it, That's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. And I lost the bid by $2,000. So my point, where I'm going with this, the trades, and I'm seeing this a lot lately. There's a lot of cheap guys floating around offering a Honda Civic, right, for only 10 grand when the dealership wants 20. Make sure that you're buying a Honda Civic and not a parts kit for a Honda Civic, right? Because that's what these guys are selling. They're selling a completed deck plus a permit, and then when the deck is done, you don't get a copy of the permit. There's no city inspection record, and your deck is not code compliant. You bought a parts kit and you saved $2 grand on it. But the problem with decks is as an attached structure, if that fails code, there's a reason for code. So if it fails code, you're gonna have a hard time adding that value to your home value, just because it isn't inspected or approved by the city. So if you go to sell your house 5 years later and yeah, we just got a new deck built, and the home inspector pulls up your property and the inspection records, inspection history, they're not going to see a deck permit on there. So that may or may not be, it's a gamble. That may not bite you in the ass right away, but it's a gamble, because if they start looking at the deck and there is something that's not code compliant, it does become a liability to you as the homeowner. And then even if you plan on staying in the house, it still becomes a liability when the deck starts to sag in 10 years and it separates from the brick house. It's just bad business. So let me pause. I'm going to collect my thoughts. I've kind of been rambling. Let me collect my thoughts. All right. I'm back. So seeing a lot of that lately. Cheap guys cutting corners and coming in $2,000 cheaper, same product, right? But in reality, it's not the same product. They omitted the permit and then skipped the very first step in building a deck. I will give credit to these guys. I don't know the company, but I did look over their work, and I will give credit to them as craftsmen. Their work was very clean. All their joints were tight. It was a well-built project, but they just didn't meet code on probably the most important part of a deck. My understanding is that these guys are mostly interior remodel guys, that did some other work for these customers that they were very happy with. So they're like, yeah, sure, these guys did an awesome job on the bathroom. Let's use them again for the deck, right? That's kind of my understanding. And there's nothing wrong with that. But when you jump into the deck world, make sure you understand your code. Make sure you understand what you're doing. I've done some bathroom work here and there, but I definitely don't claim to be a remodel guy because I don't really understand the code for 3/4 inch copper pipe versus 1/2 inch copper pipe, right? And I can ask that question. I can find those resources, but I don't claim to be an expert at it because I'm not, right? So to be a bathroom remodel guy and just assume that makes you an electrician, you're wrong, dude. So let's bring it full circle. The reason that I actually started this YouTube channel, twofold. Number one is to give information and tutorial videos to do-it-yourselfers, because there isn't a lot of that content online, on YouTube at least. And the content that is out there a lot of it is inaccurate. I've seen a lot of tutorial videos, deck specifically, talking about setting your posts and just burying them in the ground. And that's probably the video that these guys watched when they built the deck. And they did a great job framing it, but they broke code on the very first part of the project, right? So there's a lot of bad information out there. That's part of the reason why I created my YouTube channel. The second part of it is to share little tips and tricks and processes with other contractors, right? Like, I'm not trying to compete with a deck builder up in Massachusetts. I'm in Colorado, It doesn't hurt my business at all to give that guy some advantages in his business, right? If he wants to take the time to watch my video and it makes him better at his deck installs, it's not going to cut into my business. He's up in Massachusetts. I'm down in Colorado. And if he manages to branch out this far, I'll just ask him for a cut of whatever he gets out of Denver projects. You know what I mean? That it People get so competitive about the trades. I don't want to share my secrets because that's my competition. My competition is potentially 2,000 miles away from me. But the real liability there is that a guy up in Massachusetts is potentially making some mistakes on his deck that he could have avoided if someone was willing to share that information with him. And the same goes for me, going the other direction. I like watching videos of fence guys and deck guys. There's a guy down in Texas, Colby Coward, just an amazingly talented fence installer and a smart businessman too. I absolutely love watching his content, and it doesn't insult me that he's better at business than me. It actually kind of motivates me. So twofold, the reason I started my YouTube channel was to, number one, educate homeowners or do-it-yourselfers, and number two, kind of to share ideas with other tradesmen and hopefully receive some of their ideas in return. I did get a few negative comments on various videos that I've posted, pretty few and far between, and my response to all of them is ultimately the same. Proof's in the pudding, man. If you got a better way to do it, let's see your pictures. Let's see the finished product. And I have yet to see any guy actually take me up on that. A lot of the negative comments that I've read on there are the step that you're doing is a waste of time, just do XYZ, it's faster. The goal is not faster. The goal is more precise and more accurate and better quality. That's the goal. And I know that I can save time and money by not pulling a permit. I know that. That is not the goal, though. Anyways, fast forward to the here and the now. I've actually been pretty discouraged with business lately. Like I said, this is my 9-year anniversary, so it should be kind of a celebratory day. Like, 9 years in business, I've worked for myself longer than I've worked for any other company, right? It's all I know, it's all I want to do, and my heart is in it, but lately the math just doesn't add up. When I look at my bills, and it's just discouraging. And the common response to this is, oh well, let the cheap guy get the bid, and then you can come in afterwards and make all the money on the repair. But that's just not how it works, and that was the reason why I shared that first example. The repair cost was so impractical that they saved $2,000 hiring this cheaper guy, right? But they're gonna have to pay me $6,000 to fix his work. It just doesn't make sense. That's a live and learn scenario where they're like, oh yeah, we messed up, we saved $2,000, but didn't really gain anything by it. Lesson learned, but can't afford to repair it. Lesson learned. So that doesn't benefit me in the long run. I get no satisfaction out of watching subpar projects get installed that I lost a bid on. I get no satisfaction from that. I don't enjoy driving around town and seeing a hideous fence that I lost a bid on for $500 or something. That doesn't give me any joy at all. That actually kind of hurts, because it's like, yeah, I mean, in a way it's satisfying to know that I could do better work, but my ego doesn't pay my bills. Like, I would have actually just liked the project and the ability to take care of my family and my responsibilities. And it's the counter to that is, why don't you just lower your prices? Well, I can't. Like I said, there's only so much margin in this stuff, and I can't do the kind of work that I put on a contract and shave off $2,000. The only way that you can do that is to omit a permit that you include on your contract, right? We're going to get a permit for this project, but hey, I can save $2,000 by not pulling the permit. So it can come in $2,000 cheaper. But if you're actually doing what you say you're going to do on your contract, there's only so much you can shave off of your margin. I've done jobs where at the end of the job, I crunched the numbers and I was like, man, I think I need to go get a job at Home Depot or something, because I just made $16 an hour for 2 weeks, and the minimum wage in Colorado is 17 or whatever it is now. You get my point, though. Not making a whole lot of money, right? Especially considering I own the business, all the tools that I've invested in, insurance, taxes, all that stuff, right? It just doesn't add up at the end. So it's kind of a sore spot to me. Like, oh, you get the satisfaction of watching another guy fail. That doesn't really satisfy me at all, actually. I would actually like to lose. I would be satisfied if I lost a bid to a guy that was more expensive than me and did a better job than I could do. That would satisfy me. I would look at that. I would want to drive by that project and look at it and check it out and see his quality of work, and know that I lost the bid because he's a better carpenter than me, not because he's cheaper and he cut corners, didn't pull a permit, didn't pour caissons. That just hurts. That's just insulting. So, moral of the story, reason I started my YouTube was to educate homeowners, but also to help fellow tradesmen and just improve the industry overall. And it's not to say that I know everything, but I am good at my trade, and I want to contribute that to the community, so that if there's a deck guy in Massachusetts that's looking at a cantilever framing setup, right, and he knows my channel, so he can shoot me a message, hey man, I've got a cantilever project, what's the best way to do that? And he and I can talk as tradesmen, right? And then at the end of the day, he is excellent at his job and his customer is satisfied. That is satisfying to me, right? Lately it's just not the case, though. My wife has been encouraging me to remove all of my videos from YouTube and put them on Patreon or another similar platform where I can charge people to watch them. And the money thing is appealing to me, but it just kind of goes against my instincts. That's not my heart in this. My goal is not to make money off of information. My goal is to improve the industry with information. That said, I am going to include, I don't know, a Venmo or something on my bio page. If you guys would like to leave a tip, if you've watched any of my videos that have been helpful to you, if you've done your own projects and any of my content has been useful to you, it would be awesome if you throw me a 50-cent tip. I don't really care what the dollar amount is, but I would appreciate that. Like I said, business has just been hard this year, but I hope that my content and my ideas are valuable. And I'm not Mr. Beast, right? Like, no one watches my videos for entertainment value. No one watches my videos and laughs and shares it with their friends, right? It's a very, very boring, monotone, textbook kind of video. That said, if it has benefited any of you and you are inclined to throw me a tip, that would be awesome. I would much appreciate it. I might start a Patreon, just same premise though, just tip based. I just don't feel right about that. I don't feel right about charging people for information that a lot of it I've actually learned kind of sort of for free, just by the people that I've connected with. Like obviously a IRC book is $500, so that's kind of an exception. But a lot of the information that I've learned is through more experienced guys, inspectors, engineers, stuff like that. So that's where a lot of my information comes from, and I would feel guilty charging or asking someone to pay for that information from me as a third person. That's just not the way that I run my business. My goal is to make instructional videos for you guys, teach you processes, how to use different tools, how to set up different systems. So like this is a pretty funky gate setup, right? That's the gate I did for the neighbor. So they saw that project and wanted to tie in on this side, right? I want to teach you guys how to do that and improve your house if it's yours, and improve your business if you're a contractor. I think that's it. Sorry for rambling, like I said, but I am gonna post a Venmo or something. If you guys want to throw me a 5-cent tip, I would love it, man. All right, God bless. Bye.